Hey everybody, thank you for joining us for another episode of OK Copy. Today we are joined by Kiara Kii Brown, Senior Photo Producer for Bustle Digital Group. Thank you for joining us, Kiara.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Excited to have you on board. Really excited to get into the juice of what you've been doing. I've been following all of these amazing covers, cover stories, some of my favorite artists and people.
Yeah. It's really exciting to be able to meet some of your favorite artists on set, to be honest, and see them in a different light.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I always like to take it back. Mm-hmm. Tell us about, how you got here, where you started in the industry, how you found out about the role that you're in.
Yeah.
Leading up to the senior position now.
Yeah. So, I didn't really know what production was or that it really existed. Or I guess I didn't know the proper term for it. Mm-hmm. But when I was younger, honestly, I would watch like behind the scenes of like fashion shows, and I would see all the people with the walkies on and the clipboards running around telling people what to do. And I'm like, I was always drawn to that. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a Virgo. They say that we like to be in control and organizing things. So
you say they say, like you don't know.
They say. But that's like my earliest memory of like seeing production. But it wasn't until I got my first like full-time job at Root Studios. They had 2 locations, one in Midtown and one in Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. And I was a receptionist there. So as a receptionist, you see everyone who comes into the space. You see the first person in, the last person out. And typically that is the producer for all shoots. And I was just observant. And the team there, actually, upper management, asked me one day, like, what do you want to do with your career? Because I was like fresh out of college. Mm-hmm. Like, what do you want to do with your career? What do you see yourself? And at that point, I tried styling assistant. I like tried to, see if I could go into makeup, because I just knew that I wanted to be a part of the creative process. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't great at stylist assistant, and I wasn't great at makeup and doing hair. And, my boss at the time told me, like, why don't you look into being a producer? Like, that person works closely with all of those people, and they organize, everyone coming to set, and they hire those people. They have to know enough about the background of those different expertise, but they aren't, So, yeah. That's who put the bug in my head. Like, okay, let me look into this. And from there, I think they got like a partnership with H&M. Like Root Studios had a partnership with H&M where they were exclusively having their like e-com shoots or their campaigns produced by Root. Nice. So the team there would bring me on when we would have the H&M shoots as a PA. And that's how I first started PAing, just through internal recommendation. I think they just saw kind of my work ethic, being a receptionist, being really involved, being super organized, and they kind of pushed me in that direction. And they also referred me for my first production job that I actually got like the salary role. I was like a production coordinator at like a startup company. So from there, I just kept the production gigs coming in. But I do think working at a photo studio for like 2 years really showed me what that world consisted of. Yeah,
you're seeing every side of it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Heavily in the camera side too, right? Like with all of the equipment rentals and management.
Yes. I would see them load all the equipment in the night before. Like, certain photographers will have certain type of lighting setup, so they will have like the more expensive equipment, the more expensive cameras. If it was like a big editorial with a lot of models, you see all these garment bags coming in, like all these different clothing, or sometimes it'll be 2 studios booked instead of 1. So yeah. Every type of shoot. Or you would see like the really easy, simple shoots, and you would get out of work early because it'd be like not all still life shoots. Sometimes they take forever, but like a still life shoot would usually take less time than like an editorial with a bunch of models. So yeah. All of the shoots, I would witness it all.
Speaking of editorial, what has it been like working in editorial, and how long have you been doing it now?
Yeah, I would say my full-time career as a producer is predominantly in editorial. Okay. I've only done a couple branded jobs with you as well. Thank you.
Some of our best shoots too. Like I'm still really proud of.
I love those images, and I love the photographer is amazing too.
Yeah. But she just got signed to Radical.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm gonna hit her up.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, working editorial, I feel like, you know, the pros and cons of it is like you get a little bit more creative freedom. I mean, really, especially at BDG, like we kind of let everyone throw their ideas out there. Like even being a producer, I'm able to like recommend locations or like colors or, you know, but with branded, I feel like you have to answer to the client more and kind of do what they want the creative to look like.
Yeah.
But, you know, in editorial, we have less money. So we have to be more scrappy. You really have to build those relationships. You have to be comfortable with the negotiating, and you kind of got to put, you know, that pride aside and be like, hey, like, you know, we're on a tight budget. Can we make this happen for this? Or like, what can we trade off? You know, so you kind of have to be a people person in a way, because you really have to know how to talk to people, and not in a way that I'm like trying to get over on you, but like how can we be collaborative? You know, how can we build a relationship? And it's like never ending, you know, because a lot of times you're working with the same vendors in some way, shape, or form, no matter what project you're working on. So, yeah.
And you frequently are collaborating with, would you say, photographers the most?
Yeah, as far as like what I book, I'm mostly booking photographers, locations, like third-party production companies when I'm not able to be on set or it's a bigger production. Set designers actually has been something that we really been trying to like go hard and like find really great set designers, because it's like it's a lot of moving parts in set design. Like you want someone who is like not afraid to really dig deep and find those really cool, fun pieces.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then at BDG specifically, we have a different department that handles stylists, hair and makeup bookings, and like tailors and casting of models. Just because we have so many brands, it'll be a lot for me to do all of those bookings. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a different type of like negotiation too, especially for the talent, for the casting.
Yeah, for sure.
So what are some of the things that you're looking for in, let's start with photographers.
One thing that I look for first and foremost is consistency in your work. I get a lot of my like photographer friends to reach out to me like, what do I have to do to like, you know, potentially work with you at BDG? And I'm like, you can do whatever you want to do. But from my point of view, if you have a still life shoot and then you have an editorial shoot and then you have a nightlife shoot, it's like, where's your style? Like what is your lane? Pick a lane and execute it well. Like that doesn't mean you never can do nightlife, but like just pick one lane and master it so that you can get your exposure and meet the people that you need to meet by mastering that one thing, you know? Like if you're really great at portraits or black and white images, especially because BDG, we have, I think, like 12 different brands that I oversee. So every brand has its own creative direction. So a photographer who might be good for a nylon might not be the same, you know, fit for TZR, you know, or Elite Daily versus Bustle. So you got 30 different types of styles. Like I need to know what brand I can put you in. Some people can go across a couple, but I just need to know where I can fit you in at. So that's one big thing. More detailed, I think a photographer's good at lighting. Cause you have a great talent, but if you're not lighting them well, and you don't know your angles, you're not getting their angles well, the photo is not really meeting its full potential. Right. You know. But yeah, that's the main thing. Knowing what you're good at and perfecting that.
Yeah, mastering your craft.
Yeah, mastering your craft. And then I will be honest, like a lot of times, especially for our bigger shoots, we do look for people who have more celebrity experience with celebrities, because it's different to work and shoot with models and your friends or street style compared to working with celebrity talent. And I think, you know, across all industries, we know that is different. If you're throwing an event for only A-list talent, there's just a different level of expectation.
Definitely. In terms of set designers, what are you looking for?
First, somebody who's really passionate about set design. You can tell when someone's really passionate about set design, and someone who is going to take the initiative to recommend
Solutions.
And, like we'll have, we come up with the crazy creative. We want this and that. A set designer is like, hey, your budget is this. Because, granted, we're editorial.
Mm-hmm.
Your budget is this. I can't give you, the actual elephant. But I can give you this thing that gives that vibe,
Right.
Coming back with solutions instead of no,
Mm-hmm.
being able to send us options to pick from. Okay, you can pick this many chairs, this many rugs with your budget or this many combinations compared to just no.
Yeah.
Or here's the very specific things that you asked for. Like we might ask for really specific things, but throwing some things in there that we probably didn't ask for, but that will go well with the story.
Give us some options.
Yeah, give us some options. And that it really makes a difference, especially when you like are doing so many shoots. Like sometimes creatively we're like,
Mm-hmm.
we need the external freelance creatives that are just going out there and getting inspired every day to just bring that juice to the table.
Yeah. A lot of what I'm hearing and I've heard from other guests, and just we talk about it a lot in the industry as well, is chemistry.
Yeah.
Right? And I know on the branded side, there are a lot of red tape, but there's a lot of stakeholders that are involved in deciding on hiring a set designer or hiring a photographer. Do you have that same experience, or do the decisions is it just like you and an editor, or what type of buy-in is required to?
That's a good question, because I think that, especially with social media, like people hit me up and they're like, you can book, you can approve me to do this. And I'm like, that's not how it works.
Right.
Certain level of shoots, because we do from still life all the way to cover shoots. So for a cover shoot, there are more stakeholders. There are more rounds of approvals that we have to do. Then we have our our smaller portrait shoots that we can, shoot in a couple hours. Those I feel like I am at a level that like my bosses like trust me enough to like make that decision, and I can kind of just come to them like, this is who we're shooting, this is who I would like to shoot it, and they'll just be like, cool. They have any feedback, they'll be like, let's just make sure they don't go in this direction, or let's make sure they like focus on this type of lighting. But yeah, the bigger shoots, it's
Well, it also goes all the way up to the talent, right? Like, are they usually a part of the decision? Or does it depend on how involved they are?
Yeah, not really, to be honest. We really do keep as much creative control as possible.
That's
we really
great.
just want talent to know that we always want them to look great. Like, you looking great makes us look great.
Right.
Like, we're not trying to spoof anybody. Like, just trust us. And I feel like most of I would say all of the times people are pretty satisfied in the end. So
I couldn't see why not. I've not seen anything bad yet. Going back to your experience, what was maybe an aha moment project for you? I mean, we have them all the time in production. There's always some fire that's happening. You putting out fires today.
I was putting out fires on my way here.
But what were those moments that's like memorable, even if it was like 10 years ago, that was like, damn, I really fucked up and like I could never do that again? Or someone else maybe that is working for you, or, is a part of your orchestra, as I like to describe the way we work, didn't do what they needed to do, which caused a domino effect in which you had to learn to do something differently or implement something into your way of working so that it kind of never happens again.
Yeah. I would say I can think of a couple. I'm actually getting my heart is starting to race.
Let it out.
Thinking about but I know the one time that I know that like my boss really like pulled me aside and gave me feedback. There was a time that we had a shoot and the creative, it was in LA. And it was at the talent's home, which it's already like, it always blows my mind sometimes. Like, wow, like we really get to like go into these like celebrities' home and shoot in their home. I always think that's so cool. But that comes with another level of anxiety too.
Right.
So we had everything planned out. Just shooting on location is always more of a production lift than shooting in studio. So we already had everything, porta potties, tents and motorhome and everything all planned out to shoot in talent's backyard. And lo and behold, it starts to rain in California. And the talent is like, I'm I'm not going outside. I'm not going outside. I'm not doing the shoot. Like, and we had everything. Everyone was there. We actually had rented a parking lot that we were shuttling people from to the home. Everyone was there, and talent was like, I'm not doing the shoot. And this is when I had to do shoots remotely because it was still during COVID. So we weren't flying people to LA. So I had a third party producer there, and she relayed the information to me. And I just called my boss, like, she won't do the shoot. And she was like, and what's the solution? You know? And I was like, I didn't even think about that yet. She's like, okay, call me when you have a solution. And, you know, turned out, thank God, the talent had like a production home that they did all their shoots or whatever they wanted to do at, that was like around the corner. So we were able to pivot, bring the backdrops, bring the stuff that was meant for outside into the home. It was really tight. It was like not ideal at all as far as like any type of space, but it worked out, and no one would know. No one would know that the creative was meant for outside. Right. But it was it was a whole different creative when it came out in the end. But like I said, the viewer wouldn't know, but I knew, and I just learned from that moment, like, don't, you know, come with solutions, like try everything. Cause, you know, I could have had a studio up, like, hey, do you guys have a last minute availability today? Like, is everyone willing to go to Culver City? Like, you know, make those calls. And even just having, like I said, having those relationships in the beginning to be able to call maybe someone who's in the neighborhood and see we can use their home or whatever. But yeah, I was a little green during that time. Yeah. So I was already kind of, as my boss would say, she kind of threw me in the water and I learned how to swim. That's what was going on. And but it worked out.
No, I'm glad that worked out. Would you say also, what I was hearing is make sure you have talent approval for whatever you're planning to do and shoot?
Well, she was fine with us shooting at her home. It was when it started to rain. And they were like, I'm not going outside in the rain. And we're like, it's not even going to rain because it's California. Really, it's not even going to rain hard. Right. Like, and I'm not going outside in the rain.
I'm not even taking a risk.
No, it wasn't even like, and I was asking the producer, I'm like, is it like, how does the rain feel? She's like, it's not that bad. Like, I think we could still do it. Like, we put tents up. No, we had to move everything. Porta potties, tents. Oh my God.
Not.
Overtime through the wazoo. Overtime. Because we had to like relocate everything. The shoot started like 3-4 hours late. Like,
wow.
Yeah.
Did you want to get another one off your chest?
Well, I would just say another situation. The creative started to get bigger than the budget and things were just getting like approved last minute. And then once I got the estimate from the set designer, I was like, oh, this is like half of my whole budget for this shoot. So that was another moment where I freaked out.
This is the same shoot?
That was a different shoot. That was an in-studio shoot, but also a time when I was still a little green during the pandemic, and I hadn't seen numbers like that before. I was like, I didn't even know you could spend this much money on backdrops and chairs. And another moment when I went to my boss and I was like, what? You know, and she's like, well, we need to take some of these things off, you know, like we need to, but sometimes when people get so excited about their creative ideas, they're like, well, I love that chair so much. Yeah. Like, can we just make it work? So I don't even remember how I made that one work. I think that I just underspent on another shoot and it balanced out. But that was...
I was going to say, did you take the chair away?
I took out what I could. Because also I'm like, guys, we're only shooting 4 looks. There's no way we're going to shoot all 10 of these chairs, you know? Right. But as a producer, you have to learn that you have to be empowered to tell people no, even if they are more senior to you. And to this day, when I have to do that, I still get the look like, but they know, like, this is what your job is. Like, I had to realize my job is not to be a people pleaser. My job is to actually make sure we come in within budget and execute the creative.
To be a realist, I call myself an optimistic realist. Like, I really want you to make an amazing piece. I want your creative to be as beautiful as possible, but I'm going to keep it real with you. This is not what you can afford. But here's another option. Yeah. I think it's really important to bring forward here's another option, to your point, the solutions. For a really long time, I wasn't allowed in creative conversation. Yeah. At my own company. Wow. At my own company. Because the creatives wanted the space to ideate and create, you know? And I did have to learn how to, like, shut up and let them create for a second, But depending on the timeline, because if you're creating and I got to get a budget out in 48 hours, we need time to negotiate what you can and you cannot have before this goes to the client.
It's like you're like the party kill, like
yes,
the buzz
always
kill.
the buzz always the buzzkill, but then the cornerstone at the same time.
Yes.
But it's a part of the dance of it all, which makes it fun.
It is very much a dance, yes.
Yeah. What do you love most about what you do, despite the peaks and the valleys?
Yeah.
And then what is one thing that you hope to see change?
What I love most, honestly, well, this is going to sound a little vain, but I love that I'm good at it. I do love that I'm good at it because I I think that I personally try to figure out where I fit in. Like, I went to college for one thing and I just tried to figure out what I was good at. And then when I got into production, it just came so easily to me. And I was like, oh, I love this. Like, I'm good at this.
What did you go to school for?
Merchandising. I thought I was going to be a buyer. Okay. And yeah, at one point I thought I was going to be actually making garments. That was the first time I got like a 4.0 in college. I did really good that one semester. I thought I was going to be designing stuff.
Nice.
But I was like, this is too tedious. I can't. I need to be around people. But that's one reason why I really love production is because it just comes so easily to me. But I also really enjoy being a part of the creative process. Like, even if I'm not the creative per se in the situation, I know that I'm a part of the big team behind the scenes to bring these visions to life. Like, it's just really inspiring to see like these ideas really come to life, honestly.
Come to fruition, yeah. And then what is one thing you hope to change or would love to see change?
I would like to say the valuing work-life balance more.
That's real.
But I feel like I don't even really honor that myself. But I would like to say that because there's always something you can work on when you're working on, especially full-time production, like so many projects. There's always, like, even when we have a slow period, we don't have a lot of shoots coming in. It's like, I could be doing all these other things all day. Let me organize so when the shoots start coming in, I could just have this other system ready. And you can never turn your brain off ever. And I wish that I could, and I know that it's crazy because like we're all in the same timeline. I'll text my other people who are in the same industry at whatever time, and we're all up.
Yeah.
Like, we're all up working. Slack is still on. And it's funny because I feel like the younger people, like the Gen Zers that are coming in, their Slack is like, do not disturb at 6 o'clock. Yes. And I'm like, notify anyway. Excuse me.
D&D on their phone.
Yeah. So sometimes I'm like, okay, I might take a little page from y'all book, but
I respect the boundaries. I think there's the reality that things can still get done even if we take time to ourselves.
Yeah.
It's just kind of ingrained in you to keep going.
Yeah.
And keep hustling. It's just...
And you're not getting ahead because there's always stuff to do.
No, you're never ahead. Because once you clean something off your slate, someone's dropping something new in. Yeah, and to your point, you're organizing, or there's always some administrative work that you need to do that you don't get to because you're typically on set or building shoots. Last question for you is really any tips. I mean, you dropped a lot of gems, so thank you.
Yeah.
But tips for producers and photographers, for all the photographers in your DM.
Yeah. Well, that's the main tip I give. It's like, really,
Should they be hitting you up in your DMs, or is there another more appropriate way to engage with a producer?
I would say when people hit me up, if their book is already good, which I feel like most people's book is their Instagram now, I'll add them to like our Rolodex, for sure. And I do try to work with people that hit me up. I don't know. I feel like there's a level of like, all right, don't email me every week now, like I really think that your work should speak for itself.
Yeah.
I do think there's a level of having to get yourself out there and get someone's attention. But most photographers we find and work with, their work just exceeds them. Like, it's just like, I found this photo. It's always the photo first. 90% of the time, I don't even know what these people look like. I don't know if it's a photo duo. I don't know where they live at yet. I just see the image and I'm like, I want to work with this person who shot this, you know, and then I start finding. So just, if you're perfecting your craft, like, the opportunities will come to you. As far as production, I think get in as early as possible so you can figure out if this is what you really want to do. Because it is not for everybody. It is not, I mean, it's fun, but I wouldn't use that the top 5 things to describe it. Yes. Like, it is hard work, and you are, I miss being like a PA and a PC now, because I used to want to be like, why am I not the lead of all of this? And then it was like, when shit would hit the fan, I'm like, oh, I'm not in trouble for this. She is, you know, you have to learn. Yeah. And I was like, that's not. And now it's like, oh, it's my problem now.
Everything.
You know? Yeah. Even if it is a PA or someone that makes a mistake, it's on me. So, you know, getting in early, learning from other people's mistakes, and really being real with yourself. Like, is this what I really want to do? Because a lot of people are relying on you. If you are not available, if you aren't able to, like, really, you know, be a problem solver, like, jump on finding backup plans. If that's not something you like doing, don't do it. You know, if that excites you, you know, you're weird like me.
Yeah. We are some weirdos. I always say that. It's like, you gotta be real weird to want to wake up and challenge yourself
every day,
every single day.
It's like a high functioning, anxious.
Yeah.
It's like a thrill seeking world.
It is.
You know, but it is really rewarding.
The end product is rewarding and being like, I did this. Yeah. But for me, it's definitely the orchestrating of people. Yeah. Like, being able to, what you said earlier, seeing everyone's expertise and ability and being able to bring them together and trust them. Yeah. To, you know, trust them and be able to manage and oversee from a distance and then still see this beautiful product. Yeah. In the end.
There's certain shoots where I'm like, when we get that photographer and that stylist and that makeup artist and the talent, I'm just like, oh, yes, I can't wait to see these photos.
We had an Ulta shoot like that, and like, once everybody was confirmed, I was so hyped. I was like, we got the A team.
Yes. I love it.
We have nothing to worry about. Yeah. Yes. Well, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. This was really fun.
No, this was great. Now we can go have drinks.
Yes, let's go.
Before we go, tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah. So you can find me either on Instagram, Kii.Brown, or my website, which is kiibrown.com.
Do you want to tell the New Yorkers where they can find you on a Thursday, Friday?
Right, yeah. Well, if you go to my Instagram, you will see weekly updates of my DJ life. Because I have so much free time. But yeah, pull up, you know, maybe we can. I actually am not opposed to networking while I'm DJing too. So I would actually respect a photographer or a set designer if they came up to me at a set like, hey, I want to work with you.
I mean, networking used to happen at parties all the time. Yeah. I feel like up until COVID, really.
I've hired photographers that I've booked for nightlife stuff to help me at BDG for stuff too.
I imagine so.
So, you know.
never know.
Yeah. You're more likely to run into me DJing than trying to get an actual coffee meeting with me, because
you heard it here. The money is outside.
Yeah. Pull up on me.
All right, everybody. Thank you again for joining us for this episode, and we'll see you next time.